Well, everyone, we're back with Chapter 3, and we're taking a look today at the Myers-Briggs. Yesterday, if you remember, we looked at some of the big 5 personality traits. Well, there are plenty of psychological and personality inventories out there to identify what type of personality traits you have. Today, we're going to take a look at another popular one called the Myers-Briggs. Now, the Myers-Briggs framework, it differentiates across 4 general dimensions. You have extroversion and introversion. Are you outgoing, or are you conservative or reserved? And then you have sensing and intuition. How much of what you experience and interpret comes from you being able to sense the external environment, or do you rely on intuition? Thinking and feeling. Are you logical, or are you more emotional? And then judging and perceiving. And this is where you get into the, again, analytical. Do you experience life through perception and so forth, or do you judge? Now, here in a moment, we're going to see a video that kind of explains a Myers-Briggs a little bit more in-depthly. But just know that right now the 4 dimensions are these. And if you see the letters out here, they typify the dimensions that the Myers-Briggs encompasses. And altogether, there are 16 personality classifications that result from the higher and lower positions of the general dimensions. So you have overarching dimensions, and then you have subdimensions that may not be as profound as the main dimensions, but they're still there, and they still comprise a portion of who you are. And it's a popular questionnaire. Many people use it today in business and in areas where personality needs to be assessed. In the counseling world, many of the secular psychologists will use the Myers-Briggs to kind of determine what the personality of a person is. So it's a very popular inventory, a tool that can help you understand not only yourself, if you take it for yourself, but others around you. And they talk about here the communication styles and the interaction preferences. Some of the other personality traits that you'll see at work would be locus of control. Now that's the extent to which a person believes her circumstances are a function of either her own actions or of external factors beyond her control. For instance, maybe you have someone who is constantly late for work, and they tell you as an excuse, well, the traffic was backed up, or my clock didn't go off, or something happened that was beyond the person's control. That would have an external locus of control. That person would be demonstrating an external locus of control. An internal locus of control means that you are your own master of your own fate. If you are late for work because of traffic, you're going to get up 30 minutes earlier the next day. If your clock broke, you're going to go get another clock, or you're going to have an alternate to be able to get you up. But many people who are the excuse makers, it's everybody else's fault but theirs. And they would have an external locus of control at that point. Authoritarianism, and that's the belief that there should be differences within the power structures in an organization. They would go back to the autocratic method of management, where I'm the boss, you're the laborer, and that separation there keeps you and I from having any type of relationship. I really don't communicate well with you. You are not supposed to communicate with me. You're just supposed to do what you're told to do. That would be authoritarianism. Machiavellianism is the behavior directed at gaining power and control of others. These are the manipulators. These are the ones who will use their power and influence to be able to gain influence over others in that workplace. Tolerance for risk. And in the parentheses, you see risk propensity. This is the degree to which people are willing to take risks. And oftentimes, many people are just what we call risk aversive. They don't want to take risks. But in business today, you have to be able to do that. but you don't want to be, by the same token, you don't want to be reckless in your decisions and going out and trying new things. So tolerance for risk is another area that kind of indicates what type of person you are. Tolerance for ambiguity. Now, this is your comfort in areas that are kind of gray. You don't have all the information. You may not know what all the circumstances are, and you may not know what the outcome of the decision may bring. Some people are very uncomfortable working with those conditions. Other people can tolerate it. They are risk takers, and they can make decisions in the face or lack of having all the accurate information that they need. So this is how comfortable people are when they are in ambiguous situations. And then you have general self-efficacy, and that's the confidence in one's ability to be successful. Are you confident in who you are and how you work and what you can produce? And that amount of self-efficacy oftentimes is the standard by which you'll be able to perform. If you don't have a high self-efficacy or confidence, chances are you're not going to venture out and do new things. You're not going to learn new things, and you'll pretty much be stuck where you are, where it's safe and comfortable. I know church members who are like that. They don't want to go out and do more for the church. They don't want to witness. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So they will stay where they're at. Self-esteem is the feeling of self-worth, and it's the degree to which you like yourself or dislike yourself. A lot of people have a low self-esteem, so as a result, they don't have a very high regard for themselves. They may not like themselves. They're going to be very introverted. They're not going to be outgoing because they lack that confidence and ability to be able to go out and venture and take risks and further themselves. Now, the different types of personality traits at work, you have type A personality. These people are outgoing, and as you see here, many are considered to be impatient, competitive, ambiguous, and uptight. Many people who are in commission work, sales, and so forth, they thrive in this type of environment. The type A's do. The type B, more relaxed and easygoing. They're less competitive than type A, and they handle stress less frantically. Type A's thrive on stress. Many of them are driven by stress, and they, for some reason, their bodies just gear up to that because they're highly competitive, and they really are drawn to jobs that require competition, such as sales and marketing and so forth. But these are the differences between type A and type B. And then you have the bullying personality, which is just the mistreatment of other humans through verbal abuse, threats, humiliation, and so forth. And it's related to Machiavellianism because the Machiavellianism type personality will manipulate people through intimidation sometimes, or humiliation, or make them feel that they are really not of great value to anyone. I've seen abusive relationships where the husbands will make the wife feel like she's very unappreciated, that this is the best she's ever going to get, this is all she deserves, and so forth. And after a while, they start thinking that, well, the same thing happens in the workplace as well. So you have to be careful with that. But now the thing is, type A, type B personality, there is no room for bullying personality. But type A and type B personalities can be used. A type A personality, again, in those types of environments, they can be very, very successful. Whereas in a type B individual, you might want to put them in areas where they can think more or be able to work in a less competitive environment, and they'll thrive. Now, there's one thing that I've learned when it comes to personalities. Anything can be a strength. I don't care if it's type A personality, type B personality, if you're aggressive or if you're passive. Everything, when it's done in its right proportion, is a strength. Only when you carry that strength too far does it become a weakness. For instance, a type A personality here, they may have to be competitive, and at times they can be uptight because they demand performance and so forth. Now, in the right proportion, that's a strength. You want those types of people. But when they get to the point where they go past the normal boundaries of competition and impatience and become a bully, that's when that personality becomes a weakness. So your job as a manager, as a supervisor, is to identify those who are working within the proper limits of their personality and those who are exceeding it. And for those who are exceeding it, you want to gear them back and help them adjust the levels of that personality so that it can be a strength again. And here you just see with figure 3.2, the type A and the type B, it just gives you a better sense of the different types of people that you will see. Now tomorrow we're going to finish out this chapter, and hopefully after you've seen the video that we showed on Myers-Briggs and looked at some of the other types of personality traits, you can begin to start evaluating people not based on your personal evaluation of them, but how their personality really projects who they are. Well, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow.